Today we're solving multi-step equations. So we have to solve 2c plus c plus 12 is equal to 78. What is our goal when we are solving an equation? We want to isolate the variable. We want the variable by itself. In this equation, if I draw a line under my equal sign, I have two c's, or two terms with a c, on the left side of the equation. So I have to combine my like terms. What's 2c plus 1c? 3c. I drop down the plus 12, the equal sign, and 78. At this point, can I start solving my equation like we've done before? Yes. So what's the first step? Okay, so we're using inverse operations. Subtract 12 from both sides. 3c is equal to 66. Okay, have we finished solving the equation? No. Okay. The next step is to use the inverse operation again, so we divide by 3. That's the inverse of multiplication. What we do to one side, bless you, we do to the other. So c is equal to 22. If we have 4b plus 16 plus 2b equals 46. So what is our goal? Isolate the variable. We want b by itself. So we've got 4b and 2b. We have to combine the like terms. 4 plus 2 is 6b plus 16 is equal to 46. We subtract 16 from both sides. We're using the inverse operation. So 30 is equal to 6b. We drop the 6b. Now we have to use inverse operations again. The inverse of multiplication is division. What you do to one side, you do to the other. b is equal to 5. On your own, solve 3x minus 4x plus 6 is equal to negative 2. Check your equation. Did you solve for x equals 8? I want you to solve negative 2y plus 5y equals 14 on your own, and we'll check in a little bit. I got y equals 3. Check your answers, please. Any questions? Go ahead and try solving negative 3c plus 8 plus negative 2z equals negative 12, and we'll check in a little bit. Check your answer, please. Any questions? If we have to solve this equation with a grouping symbol, the first thing we have to do is distribute the negative 2 using the distributive property. So negative 2 times b, negative 2b, negative 2 times negative 4 is 8. That's equal to 12. At this point, does our equation look like it's ready for us to start solving for b? Yes, so we want b by itself. Have to use inverse operations. So the inverse of plus 8 is minus 8. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Negative 2b is equal to 4. Then we have to divide by negative 2 on both sides. That means b is equal to negative 2. And we can always check our answer. That means negative 2 times negative 2 minus 4 is equal to 12. Negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6, so negative 6 times negative 2 is 12. Is our answer correct? Yes. Start solving. 3 times k plus 8 is equal to 21. Notice that we have the grouping symbols. What do we have to do? Distribute the 3. Okay, can you continue solving and we'll check it in a little bit. Compare your answer. Look at your process. Are there questions? Any questions? Solve 15 is equal to negative 3 times x minus 1 plus 9. There's a grouping symbol, so what's the first thing you have to do? And what am I distributing? 3 or negative 3? Negative 3. So negative 3 times x. Once we finish distributing, what else do we have to do? We have to do what? I'm sorry? Add. What are we adding? The like term. Okay. Now we can solve like we normally do. Compare your answer. Are there questions on this? Okay. We're going to solve equations that contain a fraction. So I would like for you to write your equation twice, just like I've done here. We're going to solve this two different ways, okay? So if we have 2x plus 2x over 3 plus x over 2 is equal to 7. So if we can answer this by combining our like terms. So this means 2/3 x plus 1/2 x is equal to 7. In order to add our fractions, we need common denominator. What would be the common denominator here? 6. 3 times what is 6? 2. And 2 times 2 is 4. So 4 over 6x. 2 times what is 6? 3. And 3 times 1 is 3. 3x. So we're still combining our like terms. 4 plus 3 is 7 over 6x is equal to 7. So at this point, to solve for x, we can multiply times 6, what you do to one side, you do to the other. 7x is equal to 42. And then we can use inverse operations again, divide by 7. So x is equal to 6. So this was one way. Now another way of solving an equation that has a fraction is by clearing the fraction. What does that mean? That means we multiply the whole equation by the common denominator. So we said the common denominator was 6. If I multiply the whole equation by 6, that would mean 6 times 2 would equal 12 over 3x. 6 times 1 would equal 6x over 2. And 6 times 7 would equal 42. Now that I've distributed my common denominator, I can simplify each of these fractions. 12 divided by 3 is 4x. 6 divided by 2 is 3x. That's equal to 42. Do you see how my equation now looks like a very simple equation, where I can combine like terms, and I get 7x is equal to 42. Divide by 7, and we get that x is equal to 6. Did I get the same answer both ways? Yes. If we're solving this equation by clearing the fraction, we need to multiply by the least common denominator, or by a common denominator. In this case, we have 4, 2, and 8. What would be the common denominator? 8. After we have a common denominator, we distribute it. So 8 times m is 8m over 4. 8 times m is 8m over 2. And 8 times 5 is 40 over 8. Now, we can simplify each fraction. 8 divided by 4 is 2m. 8 divided by 2 is 4m. And 40 divided by 8 is 5. At this point, we can combine our like terms and solve our equation. 2 plus 4, 6m is equal to 5. We can divide by 6 on both sides. This means m is equal to 5, 6. Please solve 2/3 x minus 5/8 x equals to 26 and try solving this by clearing the fraction. We will check our answers in a little bit. Check your answer. I got x equals 624. Should we work this out again? If we're solving 0.5a plus 8.75 equals 13.25. We can solve this equation like we regularly do, or we can get rid of all these decimals by clearing the decimal. That means we have to look at the place value of each of the decimals. So what's the place value of 0.5? Tenths. 5 is in the tenths place. What about in 75? 5 is in the hundredths. What about in 25? It's also in the hundredths. So the largest decimal place would be the hundredths, right? So notice how I put my parentheses around the whole equation and I'm multiplying everything times 100. So 0.5 times 100 would be 50a. 8.75 times 100 would be 875. And 13.25 times 100 would be 1,325. Now that we got rid of all the decimals, we can solve our equation normally. So we have to use the inverse operation of plus 875, which would be minus 875. You do to one side, you do to the other. The inverse of 50 times a is divided by 50. What you do to one side, you do to the other. A would be equal to 9. If we have to solve 0.025x, 22.95, plus 22.95 equal to 23.65. If we want to clear this decimal, what do we need to multiply by? 1,000, yes. We multiply everything times 1,000 and that gets rid of our decimal. So this would equal 25x plus 22,950 equals 23,650. So we're going to subtract 22,950 from both sides. So 700 is equal to 25x. We have to divide by 25. Divide by 25. That means x is equal to 28. Solve for x in this equation and we will check our answer in a little bit. Check your answer. Did you get x equals to 4? Are there any questions?